Father Sean Healy, the president of St. Vincent de Paul, Vincent Browne. Vincent Browne.
That's my point. It's loaded with people who have the interests of rich people at heart.
No, it is loaded with people who understand economics, accountancy and finance, because it's a financial problem. You don't send, with the greatest respect, you don't send a Jesuit out there to analyse a set of accounts. If that was the case, I'd get my accounts done in confession.
Cuts in social welfare is only a financial problem or an economics problem? Is it not a social problem, leaving people devastated in their normal lives? You don't think so?
Of course I do.
But what the hell are you talking about then, saying it's only a financial problem?
But hold on a minute. Did you, when you didn't, let me tell you what it's like when you can't pay your bills, when the electricity is cut off, when you're in court and they are trying to take your house and kick you out of it, your wife and your children. I have been that soldier. So I don't need a lecture from you telling me about what it's like to get kicked out of your house, to be unable to pay your bills, or put food on the table. I know what it's like.
I said nothing about people being kicked out of their houses and put food.
But you're saying that people
about that. You just made all that up.
No, you're saying
you're arguing something that was never proposed, arguing against the proposition that was never advanced.
Yes, you're saying that it's all rich people are making up this at the expense of the poor.
Of course it is. Just look at
all right, Emmett Oliver, finally close up this portion before I thump him.
Well, just to have a go with Vincent and just side with you, because you pay my salary when I come in here in the evening, so I'm not going to help him out, you know.
You get a salary for coming in here?
Yeah, a tiny one. It's so below the threshold for this, even this report.
No, but you're a communist. You don't ask for money.
Take the pensions thing, right? Everyone in the public sector, 350,000 people have a defined benefit pension scheme.
Correct.
I'd love to have one. I don't know if Vincent have one. He was in the studio, right?
I don't have
well, so you should be absolutely exercised with this, right? The people in the private sector who pay tax eventually provide a subvention to people who have defined benefit pensions. That's a huge transfer of 7.7 billion a year from one group of people to another. Now, do you think that's right?
No.
Well, isn't he? McCarthy is to scrap it.
But it's so.
I mean, sorry, it's on page 7 of the report.
I'm going on about the social welfare thing.
But you said the whole report was awful.
I said nothing about the whole report. Nothing.
But you just came in here, took 3 pages of the report, had a row about 3 pages, and ignored the remaining 497.
No, I did not. I focused on those areas of the report that deal with the 72% of the cuts. That's what I focused upon. Which is not unreasonable, I would have thought, George. You want to focus on greyhounds that have 0.7% of the cuts imposed on them.
But, Vincent, it is, I have to say, it's terribly
and fellas going around in funny dresses on horses.
Vincent, it is remedial mathematics, if I can bring it down to that level. If 72% of the money is spent in Area A, the only way that you can make cuts is in Area A. You're right, greyhounds won't be enough. If we could stop greyhounds and horse racing and we'd all live happily ever after, I'd march with you, right, behind the red flag, happily. But unfortunately, it won't. And therefore, all of us, the 4.5 million approximately of us who live here, we're all going to bear it.
Suppose we were on a desert island.
Yes.
And suppose we were in terrible trouble.
Yeah.
And suppose it was discovered, and nothing to eat, and suppose it was discovered that, say, 20% of the people on the desert island had hoarded a huge amount of food.
Yeah.
Would we think that that an equal distribution of that food would be necessary? Yes, we would.
But where's the money, Vincent? Where's the money?
Just a minute.
Okay.
How come, in this situation, we don't say, okay, folks, we're in a bit of trouble here. Let's divide up the cake a little more equally, and then let's all take pain a little more equally.
Yeah.
But to be saying in a society which is massively unequal, that a substantial part of the readjustment, of the correction of the mistakes of the wealthy, should be borne by the poorest, seems to me to be utterly unjust.
I think...
Do you agree with that, or don't you?
I agree with the desert island, but part of what you're saying simply isn't correct, because what he is doing is that because 70% of all the money we get is spent on either social welfare or public service wages, that's the only way he can approach. Now, he's tackled the judge. I don't think it's fair that Vincent Browne, if you earned, say for argument's sake, you earned the same money as a judge, right? A High Court judge. To get the same pension as that judge, you would have to put 90% of your wages into a pension scheme. To get the and that fella, that High Court judge, only has to work for 15 years to get that pension. Now, McCarthy is saying that is unfair. McCarthy is saying that there are schools who have special needs teachers, but no special needs pupils. And he's saying, do you think that's fair? McCarthy is saying that 52% of teachers get managerial uplifts. Now, that means half of all the teachers in your local school, they're all managers. Now, we know that simply isn't true. We can't afford to have half the school teachers managers anymore.
You're just making rhetorical points.
There's nothing rhetorical. It's coming out of this famous tax take that you want to take off me. I'd like it to go to people who need it. I don't want it to go to a situation where somebody in the health service can say, I'll only work 8 to 8 and I'll only work Monday to Friday. And if I work Saturday or if I work Sunday, you have to pay me more. However, somebody in a green jacket that flies an aeroplane is told you fly on Sunday and you get the same as if you fly on Tuesday. But that's what the real world is like. And there is a substantial number of people working in this country who do not work in the real world, which is they live in a bankrupt country where for the last number of years Bertie Ahern led us down a golden pathway, whistling on his Pied Piper, and we all followed him like lemmings over the cliff, if that's not a mixed metaphor. And now we're going to pay for it. And everything else is horse manure. And you go on about this, like this guy led us to, and his assistant Cowan. Cowan went, and his previous assistant McGreevy.
Go on, please.
Hold a minute. Do you think it's right? Do you think it's right that Padraig Harrington in Turnberry today, who earns millions and millions a year, it's when he stops playing golf with all those millions and the helicopter and the private jet and all that, do you realise that he will get half his tax back? Do you realise that? McCreevy got up that day. Do you realise, great rugby player and all that he is, Brian O'Driscoll, currently earning $1 million a year. When Brian O'Driscoll stops kicking, passing and tackling, he'll get half his tax back. Is there any person listening, is there any person standing in Grafton Street who will get half his tax back when he stops working? And is that fair? And the answer is no. So I've had enough of your version of unfairness. The thing is that we are living in an unfair society, and it's the only part I agree about. But I'm not going to say that in some way, some broadcaster between 4:30 and 7 is responsible for the crisis.
Why do you bother having guests on the program? Why don't you just rant on the whole time?
I'll tell you why exactly. I'll tell you why exactly, because that's what you do to me when I go on your television program at night.
I would interrupt you maybe once, and you talk for most of the time on television programs as well. Poor Tom McGurk has had a nervous breakdown as a consequence of you.
All right.
Greg Pope is in a terrible state. Poor Conor O'Shea can't function anymore.
The round 2 will be on TV3 tonight at about 11 o'clock. I'll be in the blue corner, Vincent, at £152. Will be a mere flyweight against me at super heavyweight at 284 at 11 o'clock on TV3.